What's up, everyone? Welcome to Week 3, Colts at Ravens. Yeah, this is a bad game. This is a bad day. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I can go with the obvious. Ravens were the better football team going into this game on paper, but the better football team ended up winning today, and that was the Indianapolis Colts. They played harder. I thought the defensive lineman for the Indianapolis Colts absolutely dominated our offensive line. Sacked Lamar Jackson 4 times, forced 3 fumbles, I believe. Just overall, I thought they did a pretty outstanding job. Taking care of the football on offense and also playing very well on defense. Gardner Minshew, played admirable football. Didn't turn it over. Played smart. Zach Moss ended up with 122 yards on the ground, out on 30 carries. Played great. They just made a few more plays than the Ravens did to win this game. Also, the Ravens did a pretty good job of shooting themselves in the foot and allowing the Colts to stay in the game. They did everything they could to keep the Colts in the game, and they just didn't do enough for themselves to go win the game. So you sit here and you wonder, like, how does that happen? What were the Colts doing that was so different today that the Ravens couldn't seem to respond? And you had the feeling even from like the first play of the game that it was one of those games that every team, if you ever played a sport, if you were varsity in high school, were fortunate enough to play whatever your sport was in college, you always had a feeling that you would have 1 or 2 games against an opponent where you knew you were better, that you were your better team and had the better players, but for some reason that team came out and played harder than you, or came out and just overall just played better than you, and they beat you. On paper, it shouldn't happen, but this is one of those days. And Ravens got bit today by what looked to be a trap game, in my opinion. When you think about what's coming up next for them, I point my finger at John Harbaugh. I point my finger at the offense today. Lamar Jackson, the stats may not tell the whole story. He went 22 of 31 for 202, no interceptions, no touchdowns, but ran the ball for 100 yards today and had 2 touchdowns on the ground. But he also had 3 fumbles, and you just can't do that against any team. It doesn't really matter who you're playing against. If you put the ball on the ground and put it up for grabs, you're going to help any team have a chance to win the game. And our offense did too much of that. There was a lot of just mishandling of the clock, in my opinion. There was a lot of just a lot of miscues on the coaching side and for players. There were 3 key plays that I saw involving Zay Flowers that were critical, in my opinion. Number 1 was the fair catch with the free kick after the safety. So the Ravens get the stop, they get the safety, and then originally, and I saw the press conference, so I kind of have a better understanding of this now. So originally, the 2-minute warning was already signaled, according to the referees. But then after the timeout or commercial break or whatever the case was, they then pushed the clock back up to 2:03, thus being that the 2-minute warning hadn't come yet. And they weren't able to communicate that to Zay Flowers going in, because originally they told Zay Flowers, "Hey, get the fair catch. You can go into the 2-minute warning, but protect the ball." But now that they put time on the clock, that changed the whole perspective of everything. So they were trying to communicate with Zay Flowers, saying, "Hey, we got to get you to run the ball. Don't fair catch it, because we want to run some time off the clock and get back into the 2-minute warning." None of that happened. The communication didn't get through to Zay Flowers in time, so therefore that's why he fair caught it. Ravens take the ball. Don't really use any time. They're using up all of maybe not even 30 seconds, not even a minute off the clock before they punt it back to the Colts to give them a chance to win. We somehow get the ball back after they tie it up. 57 seconds left. I'm confident. I've seen Lamar Jackson, have the ball in his hands and go win the game. But this time, as bad as this offense played, we've had so many years, and we've been fortunate. We as Ravens fans have been very fortunate over the years to have a guy like Justin Tucker come out and save the day. We've seen him hit what stands today as the longest field goal in NFL history. We've seen him hit 60-yard field goals like it was nothing. We've seen him bail the Ravens out for so many years. This time he couldn't save him. And I'm not pointing the finger at Justin Tucker at all. He's still the greatest field goal kicker of all time. Not a question for me anymore. I point the finger at the offense. They did not get it done as a unit. They put the defense in a tough situation. I thought the defense played tremendous, given the circumstances. They were on the field for way too many snaps. Kyle Hamilton had an awesome game, amazing games. Three sacks, forced a fumble, passes deflected, 9 solo tackles. He looked like an absolute Pro Bowler out there. Play some nickel for a little bit for us. With the depth issue that we've had right now at corner with all the injuries, just kind of did it all for the Ravens defense today. So the defense is on the field for way too long, and eventually it doesn't matter how great your defense is. When you're on the field too long against any NFL team, eventually you're going to have some breakdowns, and you're just teams are going to start moving the ball a little bit. And it was those few snaps too many where Gardner Minshew and the Colts can easily start moving the ball down the field, and look, they made enough plays to get it done. Credit to Matt Gay, he made 40 field goals of 50. I'm sorry, not 40. 4 field goals of 50 yards or more in the same game. That's a record. That's never been done before. 4 50+ yard field goals in one game. That's pretty amazing. So you got to give credit to where credit is due. But in the end, the silver lining that I can find in this is that this was not a division loss, which I thought would have been a little more critical. Even this early in the season. But it's still, the Ravens gave one away, no question about it. They gave one away. This could be a game that they're going to look back and say, like, damn, this was a game that we shouldn't have lost, and now it could potentially, come back to bite us, come back and stare at us as the season wanes and gets towards December and January. You start to think about that. Now it's a long season. It's only week 3, so you never know what could happen. But the Ravens are in a very important stretch right now with these next 2 games coming up. And from my reality, from what I'm looking at, the offense has to play better. The offensive line has to protect a whole lot better, because in these next 2 games, you have at Cleveland, at Pittsburgh. You have 2 nasty defenses coming your way. I think a lot nastier than what they saw today with the Colts. Now, Colts front four is really good with DeForest Buckner and the crew and Darius Leonard at linebacker. But you got Myles Garrett, and then you got T.J. Watt and those guys coming at you next couple of games. The protection from the offensive line has to be a lot better, or the Ravens could potentially see themselves staring at a 2-3 record as we get into October and towards when we get towards the middle of October. So it's a lot to take in. You'd rather have a bad loss like this now. I kind of look at it. You'd rather have a bad loss like this now, because it wakes up your team. It's like, okay, look, we screwed up. Let's rally together. Let's get ourselves back going, and then start getting back to our winning ways. But it's a bad loss. There's no excuses. I point the finger at the offense, Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh. It wasn't good enough as far as making plays. Our defense is continuing to do well. And the last thing for me is just the Ravens just can't seem to play football without getting injured. I don't know what it is, but it seems like every single game we have an injury to a starter who plays significant amounts of snaps. And I'm not an athletic trainer with football. I've never played football, but I just find it mind-boggling that it seems like every game we lose, the Ravens seem to lose a guy that is important to them due to injury. David Ojabo left the game with an ankle injury. Gus Edwards, concussion. We're not sure if he's even going to be available for next game. So now we're down in the running back room, Melvin Gordon and Kenyon Drake. And Melvin Gordon ended up limping out of the game late in the game. So Kenyon Drake was the last running back we had on the roster available. So we hope that eventually we get some of these guys back off the injury list. And like I said, it's critical time. We're not sure what's going to happen with these guys, but it's a lot to take in. A lot of there's some good and some bad. Getting back to Zay Flowers, though, I mentioned that there were 3 critical plays that I saw that involving him. The first one was that fair catch. The second one, there was a third down play that ended up getting called back because of an offensive block in the back from Nelson Aguilar. I thought the refs missed a very clear face mask that was done on Zay Flowers. They just didn't call it. Then the Ravens had to punt again. And then their last possession, Zay Flowers goes across the middle. I thought the guy had an absolute pass interference. I thought Zay Flowers was tackled like wrapped around tackle before the ball got to even get there. Didn't make the call. But I'm not going to put that on those 3 plays either because, again, I feel like, in my opinion, this game should have never came to that point. And when you're a team that is clearly better than the opposition and you find yourself in this position, you can't expect to have anyone, especially the referees, bail you out. Because more times than not, they're not going to bail you out. So, yeah, it was a pass interference, no doubt about it. The refs missed some critical calls. But the offense did not play well enough to win the game. They did not play like they deserved to win the game. And it all seemed to go downhill after that. After you score 7 points, you get the ball back, are in position to score 14 and go up 14-0. King and Drake fumbles the ball. Everything seemed to just go downhill from there. And again, look, you got to score points. You got to get it done. When you don't, and you put the game solely on your defense, you're not going to win a lot of football games. When you don't take care of the football and you're not going to win a lot of football games. When you're a team that's begging for the refs to bail you out, again, that's a recipe for not winning football. So the offense has to get it together, and I'm confident that they will because they've shown us already that this offense has the capability of scoring on anyone, and they have the ability to beat anyone. We just took down the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. I'm confident that we have the ability to score the football. We have to just get back to what we were doing. We have to be ready to play, and we can't take any opponent lightly like we did today. I'm not too worried about our defense. I think our defense has been very good all season long so far, but the offense has been kind of up and down, kind of down to the competition, rising up to the competition. We got to be consistent game to game. That's what separates the good from the great teams, bottom line. So, tough one to swallow this week for all my Ravens fans, but it's a long season. We got a lot of good football ahead of us, but 2 very ferocious defenses coming our way in Cleveland and Pittsburgh the next couple of games. We'll see how the Ravens respond.